I gotta show you something.
Okay.
You see this right here? Upside down.
Uh, Thomas Thomas the Tank Engine vinyl?
Yeah.
What is it?
Steam rattle and roll.
What?
I don't know. It's Steam rattle and roll,
Oh,
a
is it
musical
just...
adventure.
Oh, okay. So it's just songs off of Thomas?
Yeah, it might have been an episode or something. I don't know. Today was record store day. I don't know if you knew that.
Dylan, we gotta. Okay. Let's fucking turn this on. Let's get it going here.
What? I was just asking if you knew what record store day was.
Listen, I can know what record store day is in the podcast. Gotta explain it to me. Well, you don't have to explain record store day to me, but you have to explain what's going on.
Oh, I don't really have anything to explain. I just wanted to show you the Thomas.
This is the Jacket Off Podcast,
Episode 9.
He came in like a rap, like it was like a rap thing right there. How when 5,000
We did it again.
aged, yeah. It's on the record. It's only one rapper, but then for some reason when you go and see him live, it's 500 people on stage, and they like accentuate every line that's supposed to be like at the end of every bar, and it's like. It's kind of like the reverse of Beastie Boys, where Beastie Boys, everybody just stops and one person says the thing that they're going to say. But when you bring like 2 Chainz on stage with his whole entourage, then it's like everybody screams the last line of each of his bar. Where it's like, I'll just fuck your bitch in some Gucci.
Flip, flop.
Everybody. It's like... It sounds a little messy how you're doing that right now. I would prefer if it was just you on stage, and then we could, I could hear what you were saying. But instead, you have 20 people, half of them with styrofoam cups doubled up with crushed
Double
ice
cup.
in them, and then
Got that scissor.
yeah, got the scissor in there. I can't believe that's still a thing. That seems like such an antiquated concept, doesn't it? Because that all started in like the mid it was probably earlier than the 2000s, but like I remember scissor being one of those things that's like I still can't believe it's a thing.
Well, now it's called lean. They changed the name.
That's probably why
they remarketed it to the newer, hipper kids.
hey kids, remember scissor and how like uncool that was? We changed it. It's still the same stuff.
Still purple.
It's still purple drank
We know how you love purple.
with the fucking unicorn frap. Now it's going to be rappers on stage with a unicorn frap and stirring it and fucking... I'm sure there's going to be some sort of goddamn song that's going to come out that mentions that fucking thing because it's so Instagram friendly.
There's that meme going around with the Trappuccino, and it's a purple Frappuccino.
Trappuccino?
Yeah, it says like now
it's
with
my
codeine
DJ
on
name.
the side.
That's actually pretty ingenious that those two call like the Starbucks, because inherently Starbucks is white people. I mean, we know that. And that it's kind of funny that they're just like, yeah, it's the Trappuccino because it's purple. Well, and then there was the...
I mean, Starbucks is like, there's a million of them. It's not white people there, buddy. It's everything.
I feel like,
it's Nike. It's fucking Walmart.
That's true. I guess...
It's not some secret society where only white people walk in.
Hey, are you...
You can accidentally walk into a Starbucks.
That's true. We kind of live in a time where if you walked out of a Starbucks and crossed the street, you might accidentally walk into another Starbucks across the street, and you don't know where you are. But that's as much as I've traveled at this point, Starbucks is literally, there's 2 things: Starbucks and Panera. when I'm traveling, if there isn't a Starbucks at the airport where I land, we're looking for one almost immediately after we leave the airport. And if there isn't one in a close proximity, I'm on my phone on TripAdvisor trying to find another type Starbucks thing, whether it's like a local hipster coffee chain or whatever. And then Panera is one of those things where if we don't know where we are or where we're going to eat, I fucking get on my phone and find the nearest Panera. I don't know if that's, again, that seems like another inherently white person thing to do, but your assertion is that everybody does that.
Well, I wouldn't say Panera because I mean I know of one Panera in a fucking 100-mile radius.
But
So
what's weird about that is that
I could drive you to a 50 Starbucks in a 10-mile radius.
I the only reason why I say that is because it seems like there are things that I look for when I travel in terms of like a not survival, because that's completely that's privilegey to say. But
Wait, how far is your house away from my house? Over 100 miles?
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be
Okay.
20.
So I know of only one in a 100-mile radius.
Uh
I'm just making sure. Now, if you bump my drop down up to 200 miles, I can get you to 2 Paneras.
the Panera thing is really just a testament to when I'm out somewhere, all I'm really looking for ultimately is just something that isn't trash garbage. Because I just recently tried Waffle House. Remember when we were driving home from Camp Bisco and we pulled into that parking lot and I was like, "Yo guys, let's go to the fucking Waffle House," because
It's gonna be awesome. That's what you said. It's gonna be awesome.
Gonna be awesome. You know, the only reason why I said it was gonna be awesome was because
you bought into the hype.
Well,
You pre-ordered those waffles
I pre-ordered the pecan waffles. Yes. No,
with the special blueberry syrup DLC.
Why do I got to pay extra for this? It should just come with it.
GameStop exclusive.
Oh, you motherfuckers. I should be able to buy this online. I shouldn't have to go into the store to get it. Get my blueberry syrup. You fucking derailed me.
I'm so sorry. Let's get you back on the Waffle House track.
I know it's such an important component to this discussion.
I know the end of the story. It wasn't as good as you thought it was going to be.
No, I will tell you this, though. It depends on, you know what it is? It's like, it's basically the good movie versus the fun movie argument, where it's like, was it good because it was fun, or was it a bad movie, or you had a good time and you don't care what anybody thinks? I mean, we've discussed that before.
Oh yeah,
I think it was
a lot of movies I enjoy are just bad movies, but
yeah. So I think this it falls directly in that category of when I went to Waffle House. I think I was in like Lexington, Kentucky or something. Probably the best place to visit a fucking Waffle House, if I'm honest with you. It's pretty quintessential that if you're in the American Southwest or Midwest or wherever the hell Kentucky is. I should probably know that better.
West.
When we visited Kentucky, you saw them fucking everywhere, and we went into one, and I got this like hash brown bowl thing. I gotta be honest with you, it actually was really good, and it was only because I acknowledged what it was as I was eating it. When I started eating this thing, I was like, this is definitely diner hangover, like amazing sort of like menagerie garbage bowl of type shit.
I thought that was the idea.
It really is. I thought, to me, the way that, and he tends to do this, but Anthony Bourdain, as refined of a palate as he has, will go out into the world and do the Waffle Houses of America, and he'll do the holes in the walls and shit like that, and he tends to paint it with a very broad rose tinted glasses colored brush, meaning when he goes into these places he sort of acknowledges that this place is like blatant drunk people hedonism, and is like, I gotta tell you, it is fucking good and it is consistent and it's greasy, and that's the whole point. So with Waffle House, it's really good. And that's the thing, is that it was really good in the situation that we were in when we went to Camp Bisco when we were coming home. It would
Too
have been
bad we ended up going to McDonald's.
That's the thing. I was like, in my mind now, going to Waffle House in Kentucky, I was like, man, if we would have went that day, I feel like it's not like it would have changed our lives or anything, but we would have been like, man, this is the best thing for us right now. This is a good decision.
That's why it was packed asses to elbows, because
Christ.
everyone else thought it was a good decision.
Everybody in there knew the virtues of Waffle House. I mean, it's not like I had to twist your guys' arm to get in there, but you guys tend to be cynical about all the decisions that we make as a group because you don't give a fuck. It's just essentially like, we're hungry, we need food, let's do whatever we're going to do.
This is going to take an hour and a half to get food.
Whereas
McDonald's, I'm pretty sure they just dumped a bunch of sausage McMuffins in the dumpster we could pick out. The turnaround in the McDonald's dumpster is a lot quicker than this Waffle House right now.
In my mind, I'm looking for some sort of grand culinary experience, and in your mind, we just got done fucking going for what seemed like 36 hours, and we just needed Egg McMuffins out of a dumpster. Take that for your title.
Too easy. That's too easy.
Moving on. It's too easy.
Next up.
I don't even know. We started with rapping. That's where we started with that conversation.
Oh, speaking of rapping,
yeah.
So I bought the remastered Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah,
and I beat it. I beat it last night. That's not like
short
it's
game
much,
though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 6 songs, I think.
Oh.
But the beat matching is just fucking god awful. It's just terrible.
In what is it? Because I don't think I ever even played the original.
So like when you play, you see the little thing scrolls across and you got to hit the button, but there's no like it doesn't feel like you're hitting anything. So even if you feel like you hit it, you won't know until the end of the line where it makes a or the noise that you screwed up or you did good. But as you're playing it, there's no like, oh, you nailed it, or like as it's going on, like you just play the thing. Yeah, when you hit a note in Rock Band, it explodes.
Right.
Like this, it just you do go through the whole line and then a noise happens at the end. So like that's real bad, like just real bad. And when you're playing it, they try to do it so like when you hit it, he says the words, but it's a little off, so it's like kind of skipping, like kick.
I've seen that part of it. I think I understand that component of the game. It sounds like to me that they're. So
you can't even watch. You can't even like listen to it to get the beat. You kind of just gotta play it as it scrolls across and kind of keep the beat out of your head.
That's so sucky. You know what it is? Well, it sucks because that's a property. I don't know who owns that property. I don't know who owns Parappa the Rapper. I don't know if it's like Insomniac or I don't know who owns it.
Konami? I don't know. I don't remember.
So my thought is like with Konami or with whoever still owns that property, if somebody could buy it out, like if Harmonix could buy it or whoever could buy it, could you imagine a Parappa the Rapper that sort of brings the whole genre into like a more modern sensibility, whether or not you use like you could incorporate like upscale technology into Parappa the Rapper and not necessarily maybe do it with a controller, but you could have like you could turn it into something that's unique, that's maybe more something where it's along the lines of like a Konami arcade experience with like the hand motions or something like that.
Yeah, but like everything's been done. There's no reason to bring that property back. I mean, there's Parappa the Rapper 2 for the PS2. That was the last Parappa the Rapper game that came out. Or I guess there was a cartoon or something.
Was it really?
Yeah. But
that's
it's pretty. But it's been a dead property since I want to say 2001. Parappa the Rapper 2 came out.
I feel
like 16 years.
I feel like with as much nostalgia as behind that game, if they decided they wanted to do
Well, that's why they released the remaster. They see what kind of response it gets, if it's worth.
My hope is that
doing
it gets a reasonably good response. You end up with Parappa the Rapper 3 for PS4 Pro, and you have cool, like, components that tie in maybe VR, something like that.
That's when you just play Hatsune Miku or whatever the fuck it
is. That's very true. Ultimately, what they're capitalizing on is
that's pretty much Parappa the Rapper. And
yes,
you're Parappa the Rapper new.
Yeah.
They already came out with it.
I think one of those things that I've never played.
You know what's really funny? Okay, so the remaster, like they have the original, like CG, like the original CG cutscenes in it or whatever, and they're real bad. They got like this huge border around them, and it's in like this tiny screen.
I saw that on the Giant Bomb quick look.
Yeah, because they didn't remaster that; they just remastered the game itself, and it looks really good. It's clean, I guess, for lack of a better term. The actual sequel when you're playing the game, they remastered that part, and it's like. Yeah, it's real clean, but it's still they're literally just pieces of paper on a 3D background. That's the art style of it, which is cool. But the real fucking weird thing about that game is the story.
That's something that I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if it even ever had one. I thought
so. Basically, it's about this rapid dog who's trying to impress this sunflower girl.
Okay. First you had my interest, now you have my attention.
And there's this other big muscular dog that's also trying to fend for her fucking love or whatever. So the first couple songs, you're basically the first song you're learning to fight so you could beat up the big muscular guy. Then you're learning to drive so you could drive her around. Then you're learning to cook because you want to bake her a cake. Then you have to buy her a birthday present because it's her birthday. You want to bake her cake for her birthday, and then you talk with you rap with a fucking reggae frog at the flea market to get her a nice gift. Then you go and eat the cake, and have a nice birthday party. This is where it starts to get weird.
Oh, this is where it starts to get weird. Yes. Okay, sorry.
So you got your license. You could fight. You got her a cake. You got her present. You go, you eat the cake. Then she's like, "Oh, thanks, Parappa. Oh, can you drive me home?" You're on the way home, and you gotta take a shit.
Now, how did they explain this in the game? How is they can't have this? What is it? What does he say?
He's like, "Oh no, I really gotta go."
My god.
And like they keep showing this one scene where like his stomach, it's like a 3D image of his like a x-ray image of his stomach, and it's like filling up all the way, and like there's an internal monologue of the sunflower while this is going on because Parappa's sitting in the fucking car mean mugging because he's got a shit and he's trying not to shit. and so the sunflower's like, oh he looks all manly and whatever.
You gotta be shitting me.
So he runs out of gas. This is the best part. He runs out of gas. He runs. There's the bathroom. Like he's got the clear, and all the people that you rapped with, like at the beginning, the cake lady, the flea market guy, the onion guy, and the car lady, are all waiting in line to the bathroom. So you got to rap your way up to the toilet. So you beat that level, you take a shit, another CG scene comes up, and the sunflower all of a sudden don't like you because you're not manly looking anymore because you don't got to take a shit. You're not. That wasn't mean mugging. I was amazed.
I didn't. How is? I guess I didn't. I don't know why I didn't see this. This must have not have been a part that they got to in the quick look when Giant Bomb did it, because when. That just sounds fucking insane to me. And you
gotta watch all like the
riff on that
scenes
for an hour
or whatever.
Oh my god,
it was absolutely amazing.
I
couldn't believe what I was playing at that point. I was like, because up until this point I have only played the first song from a fucking demo disc that I used to play all the time. It's a punch. It's all in the mind. Like that is
Yeah.
that first song is like I just know it.
Sure.
And that's really the only song I've ever played. And then I finally beat it, and it's just weird. I didn't know it was that weird.
That's even farther than like Katamari level weird, like in terms of the plot of that game. You kind of reminded me of something while you were talking about that. I was saying how if they tried to modernize that game, what would they do? And it came through my mind. I was like, oh my God, if they did that game and they had some people write it from like Adult Swim, like if they brought it a little bit into the more mature level, and they got real rappers. So they bring in like Lil Dicky, Snoop Dogg, G-Eazy, like they bring them all back and do this much longer game.
I guess there was like a
graphics.
There was a mixtape they released of like real rappers rapping over the songs and Parappa the Rapper.
That means that they've laid the fucking groundwork already. That's crazy. That they haven't like thought, hey, why don't we make Parappa the Rapper 3 and we bring this story into like the modern age, and you end up oh my God, you know how funny it would be if they got like Designer, where like because now you have to represent like mumble rap and sort of that whole thing, trap and all that stuff in there. How incredible would that be?
I'm surprised like Run the Jewels didn't just do a whole fucking
they tend they tend to feel that they tend to fill that void of like the funny like rap cover type situation. If they did a whole record that was just like Parappa the Rapper, or actually inspired by tracks from Parappa the Rapper, it'd be funny too. Yeah, I want to play that game. For how bad it is. Now, like I said at the beginning.
I mean, it's playable. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not bad, and it's not unplayable. It's worth the aggravation that it could cause.
Speaking of
just to watch the fucking the cutscenes or whatever, they're ridiculous.
Speaking of, it's not unplayable and it's not bad. Getting back to the Resident Evil podcast that we tend to do, I bought I don't know when I bought it. I think I told you I was like drunk in a hotel room and I bought it. I bought the Resident Evil 3-pack or whatever, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. Started
playing 4, and I never played 4 on a PlayStation controller of any kind. Like when they did the remake for PS2 and PS2, I mean, I think they did it like 500 times.
PS2, PS3, GameCube, Wii.
Something is lost there in controls. The controls are really bad.
Texas Instruments TI-84.
When I was playing it, I got through the first part with all the villagers. Did it very smartly, not the way that I would normally play something like that. I tend to play Resident Evil games now from a more stealth perspective. That's probably how you always should have played them, because you just conserve a shitload of ammo when you're willing to just run by a zombie or whatever quickly and, you know, run the risk of them grabbing you. But ultimately, the villager thing was very easy to do once you got the idea in your head that what you're supposed to do is just run into the fucking square. The cutscene does it, and then you just run in all corners of the fucking map, shoot like 2 or 3 people from far away, keep running to another corner, and do it again for like 15 minutes. And then the bell chimes at the church, and then they all fucking wander off into the distance.
I'm all about the knife. I just use a knife.
Well, that's another thing too, is that the knife controls make zero sense in this game, because ultimately you have to use I think it's the I think it's like L1. What would you think when you want to pull out a knife in a game if it's an alternate, like a melee weapon? If you want to enable it, I would think in my head that I would want to use L2.
I think L2 would be aim up the gun, and then L1 would be aim up the knife.
That's so confusing to me, though, because the way that I think about it is that any attack is going to come from that right trigger. Like, I'm enabling it with my left hand, and then I'm doing it with my right hand. That's kind of where I am on that. So I understand it being that front button, but like the way that the control scheme works on a PlayStation controller is it's a little disarming. And not to mention, your controls seem to be, and this is probably part of it. This is another thing that I romanticize, but the thing is like your gun controls are square. They run on a grid. If you're trying to shoot somebody, you got the laser. You always have the laser scope. But if you're trying to shoot somebody from a distance in that game, what you're essentially doing is the farther away your range gets with a gun that has a laser on it, the more it's like actually trying to point a laser pointer to something very far in the distance. It gets jittery and your hand is all jittery and your fucking controls are across a grid. You have zero precision. So they've ported this controls like 5,000 times and it doesn't translate. It's really bad. And it makes me think, for as many remakes as they've done of this franchise across all of the different ones, whether they've done the director's cut remake for PS4 or whatever, why couldn't they just make Resident Evil 4 again and just call it Resident Evil 4 Biohazard
4.
or fucking whatever?
For PlayStation 4, Resident Evil 4
If
4.
they just said, let's make it in an engine that makes sense, and then do that. Put it in Unreal. Put it in fucking the PT engine. Whatever you want to do. It's crazy to me that it was that bad.
Yeah, you got a better chance of fucking you doing it yourself.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are people out there who are like, I'm doing my Kickstarter. We're just short of our stretch goal to add.
I'm gonna make it in Unity.
Textures. We're gonna do it in Unity, and I'm gonna release it at first on the fucking Xbox Marketplace, and then we're gonna. It's like, oh man, this is gonna be a long road ahead of you for you, brother. It's not gonna be good. I mean, you gotta know that America's skepticism about Kickstarter and Indiegogo is already at an all-time low, and the fact that they got the main developer back from Castlevania to do a new Castlevania game doesn't even give you a free pass there. I mean, that's pretty bad. When people buy in, like I forget what that bloodstained ritual of the evening or ladies of the evening or whatever the fuck that game was that the guy did, Kogi Igarashi or whatever, the original.
They're still making. They're making it.
They're making it, but it's taken a fucking eternity.
That's what games take, a fucking eternity to make.
No, not if you're Ubisoft and you got fucking 5,000 slave labor.
They're not Ubisoft. That's
I'm saying that in the Kickstarter and Indiegogo community, the issue that you're running into is that you could get $80 bajillion for the game because everybody's got this nostalgia thing going on. But then you try to divide that up amongst a small development team, and you've now taken a 1-year development game, if you could get it picked up by a major developer, and turned it into a 3-year development, and by the time it's out, nobody's going to give a fuck.
Well, that's bullshit. Everyone games take a long time to make. Period.
Well, you got an Assassin's Creed coming every fucking year.
That's because they already have all of the fucking things they need to make it. The engine's already there. They just have to do different character models. All the textures are all already mapped out and everything. They just have to make a different map and different texture models.
I can
character
understand
models.
that. I guess I agree with you on that.
And, the engine's already there. The physics are already programmed for how those games run. Like, all these things are already made. That's why they can piss them out every year, is because they already have the shit made. When the first one came out, it was announced in 2005 and didn't come out until 2008.
I guess I should flip my point then on that, because I agree
so
with
when
you
you
on
have
that part of it.
when you have a brand new property, it's like when a brand new property, any other game comes out, it takes a long time to make. Look at that. Look at the new Kojima game, Death Stranding, that he's coming out with.
Yeah.
They pretty much announced that he was coming out with it last year. That game's not coming out till 2019.
Yeah, it's
not even made yet. It's not like the idea is there. He just decided what engine he was going to use to make it.
That's upsetting.
Games take a lot of time when it's a brand new IP. That's why big companies don't make brand new IPs because it costs money to make these games that the return on them is not for fucking 4 or 5 years, as opposed to they release this Assassin's Creed game. It takes a year to develop this new Assassin's Creed game that they already have everything they need to develop a new one for, and then the returns right back at them.
So if you just joined us, this is a gaming industry podcast with Dylan Billadu and Brent Pickard. We were talking about how long it fucking takes for a game to come out and how pissed off we are because we're nerds.
I'm not mad.
You're not mad at anything, though. We know that. We know
I'm never mad. I'll
just
get it when I get it. I'm not making it.
That could be the tagline for Death Stranding. Death Stranding. You'll get it when you get it, motherfucker. You'll get it when you get it, okay? Kojima, bitch. Out. Fucking drops a mic at a conference.
Did you get that? Did you get that? Transcriber, translator. Did you get that?
Yo, stenographer, read that back to me. 5 minutes ago, you said Kojima, bitch, out. That's right.
All right. Just making sure. I don't want anything to get lost in translation.
Oh my god.
I want a fucking Norman Reedus with a goddamn baby hanging out of him. I want Guillermo del Toro.
That's the funniest part right there is that
I guess he's like not even really in it. I think he was just in the trailer.
Oh, that's funny.
But who's the main villain is not what the fuck is his name? Mads Mikkelsen. Is that his name? Is that how you say his name?
Oh, yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads, yes. Yeah, you got it.
Mads Mikkelsen, yeah.
That trailer, it does look incredible as a VFX demo. Like regardless, I mean, all they did was really just create an in-engine like camera pan. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
But it just looks
you know what engine they're using to make it, right?
What are they doing? What did he decide on? I don't know what
the Gorilla engine that they made Horizon Zero Dawn with.
Oh, see there, yeah. Now, them taking to 2019 inside of that engine is nuts.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
it's good if it comes out on PlayStation 4. It'll turn regular it'll like light regular PlayStation 4s on fire.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, we're talking that's crazy that he's doing that. I mean, even just the PT demo, I can't remember what that was in. It was called the Fox engine, I think. The Fox engine was the original Konami engine. Yeah,
that's his engine that he made at Konami that he used to make Metal Gear Solid 5?
With Quiet, right? The Fox engine was
I think it was just 5. No. Zero Grounds, I think, was the first game they made in the Fox. Ground Zeroes, yeah. I think that was the first one they did in like the revamped, and then they made it a little bit better, and then came out with 5 proper.
That's one of those games that I never played. Not one single title from that franchise I've never played.
I had the first one on PlayStation, like not the NES version, but like the 2-disc fucking greatest hits.
Yeah.
Solid. I don't know. I don't like stealth games, so
I think the game itself is so artistic in a way because it doesn't really. They're so weird. They don't follow.
Oh yeah.
They don't follow any convention from other than gameplay style from any other game or storyline or movie. It just doesn't have a genre to a certain degree. The way they write it, they're always very surreal, and the characters they come up with are fucking weird and.
It's 'cause it's Japanese. What the fuck you want? It's like an anime.
Did you see?
But not.
There was this thing when I was in the hotel a couple weeks ago or some fucking time. I don't know where I am or what I'm doing half the time. But there was this series that was coming out. I think it was on Toonami or maybe it was the beginning of Adult Swim. I think it was Toonami because it was made by like a Japanese filmmaker or something. It was called like the Whale and Me or something like that. And it's like,
is that your life story when you were a kid? About you and your mom?
Got to get one in every podcast, don't you?
Just one.
Just one.
Just one. All right, The Whale and Me.
It's this the whale, a love story. No, I can't remember what the hell it was called. It's one of the weirdest, most surreal. Did you ever see the movie Kung Fury?
No.
What about there was another movie that was like that. Kung Fury started out on YouTube, but there was
Oh no, I saw that. Yeah.
that was that 80s cyberpunk type of movie that had an
Yeah,
low
yeah.
budget and weird VFX.
He doesn't he like go into a arcade machine?
Uh, no, I think that's another one. The one I'm talking about.
And I'm not talking about Tron when I say he goes inside an arcade machine or Wreck-It Ralph.
You know, that Disney movie where
Yeah.
he goes inside the arcade
Kung
machine.
Fury.
Kung
They
Fury.
live in the arcade.
Like every 80s revival movie, some sort of arcade is involved. Looking at you, Nero. There's a component to this series. It's called Sand Whale and Me, and it's on Toonami. And it's made by Mamoru Oshii. I got to look up who that guy is, but it's a 25-minute 5-part micro series. Oh, it's from the guy who created or who directed Ghost in the Shell. But it's it's a part live action thing. And the story of this thing is so fucking weird. It's the story of a female paratrooper in the distant future who is stranded in a vast desert with a limited supply of food and water. Her only hope is to catch a sand whale from the pack. If she can't, her life may just hang in the balance. The series has a video game aspect with portions of each episode featuring third-person point of view, similar to like a third-person shooter, like Gears of War.
Third-person shooters.
No, like Gears of War. Like the camera style is very much like Gears of War over the shoulder, and it's kind of jarring to look at on a movie because it's not typically done that way.
Yeah.
During these portions, there are also status bars in the corner of the screen that shows the main character's health level, experience, weapon selected, and ammunition remaining.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah, the way that it's filmed is very much where it kind of hits that uncanny valley mark where it's two or three people maybe in one scene being filmed in front of like a blue screen, and the graphics in it are very it's just very jarring. The VFX is very jarring to it, and it's a little campy. The other movie that I was trying to tell you that it reminded me of was the movie Turbo Kid. There's a movie that came out that was actually unlike Kung Fury, it was actually a full release. I think it was actually an hour and a half or hour and 40-minute movie.
Kung Fury ended up being like 40 minutes, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they did a Netflix, or no, they did a Kickstarter, and then they ended up being released on Netflix. I think that's where I watched it.
The
Pixels. I think you were thinking of Pixels. That was the other one.
Oh, how could I have been so myopic? It was Pixels.
Yeah, it had the famous actor Pac-Man in it. You remember him? And it's Centipede from the game Centipede. Who's a centipede?
And that guy, Donkey Kong. Neither a donkey, but he is a little bit of a Kong. You know, that old enchilada. What was I gonna say? Turbo Kid. There was a movie that came out that was very much in that same spirit, that forced 80s thing. I think Carpenter Brute did the soundtrack for that. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the movie's kind of like. It was filmed in a very Mad Max style way, but more. It was just more stripped down. I could definitely recommend that one. I don't know if I could recommend Kung Fury to somebody unless they were really into that kind of idea. But Turbo Kid as a movie is actually pretty good.
Kung Fury was good for a good 5 minutes or so, and then I'm like, I get it.
It overstretches its boundaries a little bit. Turbo Kid actually creates a story a little bit with it, but it also still gives you the sense of like, yeah, this is supposed to be a weird 80s throwback type of thing. But it was just a little bit more indie film feeling. So what's up? What's up with you, bro?
I don't know. Nothing.
As per normal.
As per normal.
Maybe this is a good time to talk about the beers we're drinking today.
Why?
Why? I don't know, Dylan, because maybe it's.
Is that
like,
the time in
shit
the it's that time in the podcast where we talk about the beers we're drinking, raging alcoholism coming at you.
I'm drunk.
I'm drunk. What time is it?
Ooh, okay, back to.
Oh, I gotta sober up. I gotta pick up my kids from soccer practice at 10.
This domestic life I'm living, clearly. I'm drinking Brown's Revolution Series Double Oatmeal Stout. 1 pint, 8.4 alcohols by volumes.
ABVs. What's the IBUs on that?
The IBUs are 32 on the international.
Ooh, that's a number.
Units.
That's a number.
Whatever that is. Our double oatmeal stout aged on cacao nibs with a touch of vanilla. It'll get you drunk is the point, and it tastes like chocolate, just like every other stout. It actually is really good. It is growing on me. The guy at the store fucking fandangled me into thinking that there was some sort of rarity, as if I was buying the Nintendo Switch of beers because there was 400 cases or 500 cases available or whatever. And of course, when I went into the fucking beer store, the guy was standing there on a fucking little card table with a bunch of the beers that it's a guy from Brown's Brewing Company.
You're in luck.
And he's like, hey, you want to try some beer? And it's like, oh, I didn't walk in here to do this today, but you know what? Might as well. So I feigned small talk with this complete. The guy's got to be a stoner. He was just like everything that I was talking to him about. He was just like, yeah, bro, that's awesome. That's awesome, bro. That's cool. That's awesome. Like everything I had to say to him was like the greatest thing that happened to him that day. And he gave me this one. And of course he said, everything, all the stuff that I got here is over there. I said, oh, okay. All right. It's like when you go up to the sample thing at a grocery store and you eat the thing that they made. And they're like, yeah, these are in the frozen
section. You can pick it up right here. There's some in the frozen section. And they're on special today. I don't know if you know this, but if you got your bonus card, you can get 2 for $4.
Oh, okay. I'll go over and get some of those. These are awesome. Like, I feel like we could have these like tonight for dinner. And then you fucking go about your regular shopping business and you don't fucking purchase that product.
Pick up five bricks of cheese, a fucking
stick of pepperoni, and Brown's oatmeal.
A bag of Stacy's crispy pita chips.
You just hungry right now, bro?
Some pickled peppers.
The point is that he was like, yeah, man, we only got like 500 cases. It's like, for some reason, I don't fucking know the numbers of any other case of beer that comes into this place. I'm in a fancy beer store. I'm looking at a million beers on 1,000 shelves, and him telling me that's a fucking arbitrary number. I don't what's the number here? But for some reason, him telling me, yeah, it's 5. We only got 500 cases of it. Some idiot switch fucking flipped up in my dumb.
Whoa!
Like, hey,
did you say 500 cases? That's it? So less than 1,000?
Because for some reason, all of a sudden, I've turned into some sort of alcohol and liquor fucking professional broker who sells this shit to local distributors. So in this case, I'm saying to him, I understand that 500 cases of this beer implies its rarity. There's no number I have to base that on. So I go looking around the store pretending like I'm not going to buy this beer that he just told me to buy because I'm a dumb idiot consumer that's just a fucking beer robot. and I walk around the store. I'm like, maybe I'll get something with this beer or something. I'm trying to find the Trogs Mango beer. Now, in my head, okay. Now listen. I had the same
first
reaction.
cut.
Yeah, baby. Don't I?
I went to a bar last weekend and they had that shit on tap. Jesus, where have you been all my life?
The first time I had it was in one of the sampler packs. They did the summer sampler or whatever, and I went in there and I got the 4-pack of this beer that the guy fucking sold me on, and then I picked up. I was trying to find that one in like a 6 or a 12-pack or whatever. They had already fucking replaced it with another beer. I was so mad. I got up to the guy in the front. In the front, I was just buying this, and I was like, "You guys got." And this took a lot to say, because I don't want to be this guy walking up to the front of a beer store, a self-respecting beer store, and say,
looking for a beer.
You guys, I don't want to do that in any store, but this is even worse because the thing I'm looking for might as well be a slippery nipperl or a fucking or a goddamn Cosmopolitan beer. I'm like. You guys got that Trogs Mango beer? It's like, I just died a little inside just saying that.
I think we're thinking of two different beers.
No, it's the first cut. Yeah, it's the first cut IPA with.
It's not that gay. It's not like you're asking for a fucking Smirnoff Ice or a goddamn.
I don't know. I guess
goddamn hard sparkling water.
Those dudes in there though. Those dudes in there, at least in this beer store.
It's a craft beer, Trogs.
Guys, you gotta remember.
They're self-respecting.
Yeah. The other beers in their lineup taste like shit because they're craft beers. We know that.
Well, Nugget Nectar's really good too.
I like that beer a lot.
They're pretty much the first cut and Nugget Nectar are pretty much the same beer. Very, very similar.
Troganator is another one of those beers where like that's where because you're in the 9s on that beer or 10.
Yeah,
close to there.
I think it's 10 or something. Yeah.
Well, then they got that one that was almost like it was getting close to 13%, which was that cherry one. It was like almost like a sour beer.
I think I had that one. I don't think I was a fan of it.
I told you I really liked
it. The Mad Elf.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. I think I was expecting too much from it. I think that's the problem.
For that amount of money and
that's what it was. It was good, but it was really expensive, and I was like, well, it's not that good.
For you, I think for you a lot of times.
I'll buy 900 fucking Bud Lights.
You fall into a category where if you're gonna buy a beer that's kind of expensive for it comparatively, if you're in the $25 for a 4-pack realm, you're gonna hate it. I mean, that's just where you draw that line.
I mean, you very seldomly see that though.
Right, in the KBSs of the world, and the Mad Elves, and like the Golden Drax, and like these things that go up to like
Mad Elf I think Mad Elf was like $16 for a 6-pack. I don't think it was as bad as $25 for a 4-pack.
That's true. I think that you're right. I think there's very limited amounts of beers that are like that, but for you, I think you tend to fall into this category of a lot of times. People feel this way about wine. There's a cutoff.
I mean, what the problem is when they're that high of a price, it's usually like the oak barrel shit, and it's usually like a stout fermenting in some fucking oak barrel. Well, I don't like that. Except the Pumpkin fucking oak barrel, whatever the fuck it was that I had. That's pumpkining.
They do a version of that in oak barrels.
Yeah, it's like $16 for a 22 ounce.
Wow. I mean, you know what's weird though is that when I go into a liquor store and I'm gonna go buy a bottle of wine to go somewhere, it's very rare that I do that now, because I don't really drink wine at home much. Like I just bought a bottle of like Svedka 100 proof.
That's the kind of life you're living. Usually if I feel like wine, I'm getting Red Cat or White Cat or fucking Brumbleberry. And it comes in a bag.
I'm getting grape juice wine cooler white girl spritzer bag.
Give you that gut ride instantly.
The thing with wine to me that's astounding is that I don't have any problem going into a liquor store and picking up a bottle of wine that's like $13 for like I don't know what the
I
milk.
think they usually come in $7.50.
Yes,
I think that's like your wine, your bottle of wine is a $7.50. I want to say
$7.50, right? So like you spend $13 on that. I spent $18 on the same size of Svedka 100 proof. It's like the Svedka Silver or some shit it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the third component to this is I'll go into a store and I'll see roughly the same size of beer. Like a good example is like Brooklyn Local 1. Comes in a big boy.
Yeah, I think they're 22 ounces.
Cork top.
Yeah.
Beers, the fancy shit. I, for some reason, find myself in a situation a lot where, for some dumb fucking reason, I'm hesitating on the $13 beer that's in the same size, roughly, as a bottle of wine in the same category, in the same size.
Well, see, the thing is, when you get the wine, it's either you're buying it to like share or like have a couple glasses of it. If you get this beer, you're drinking that whole thing. Like the minute you open it, you don't save the beer.
No.
For next time. Right.
So I guess the part of it where you're getting the more value from the wine, if you're not a piece of shit like I am, is.
I mean, of course you're a piece of shit. I'm just saying, like, most people see. Yeah, most people see a bottle of wine, they're like, oh, that's my bottle of wine for the week. Not, oh, I better just break the top off on this table because I'm just going to chug it straight from half the bottle.
I better treat this like a very fine champagne and take a very sharp sword and just cut the fucking neck of the bottle off because I'm going to drink this in a giant container.
Shove that neck up my ass, fucking dump the beer down my throat.
Butt chug. So the point is, if you're not a piece of shit, you're buying a wine, and the same goes for a growler, really, too. Because when you go into a beer store and you get a growler, you know that you're either going to finish that all yourself or that you're bringing it over to a party where other people are going to finish. It's
going to be gone in the day. Yeah,
because that comes from the purpose of it, because it has to. It doesn't retain anything. Which is good because
this is my beer for the night.
Exactly. Where the line is drawn, though, is where I'll go into a liquor store and I'll pick up a $16 bottle of Michael David Freak Show and I'll be like, this is my wine for the night. Normal people don't do this, Brent. You can't walk into a store and be like, this is my wine for the night. You have to like pretend to the cashier that you're like, yeah, I'm bringing this over to a dinner party. I figured it would pair well with a nice filet mignon or whatever. And then in all reality, you're going home, you're ordering a pizza, and you're going to eat half of that pizza and drink all of that wine. And then you're going to get high. And
eat, and then you're going to eat the other half of the pizza.
It's like you can read me like a book.
But also, I like to go in the liquor store and say, "This is my bottle of Svedka for the night."
You go.
So that's a little bit too big of a problem. It's like, what do I feel like drinking tonight and only tonight and all of it?
You can't.
Well, this I could chug right out of the bottle.
You can't.
This pairs well with a nice cranberry juice.
I was gonna say that. You can't quite go into the liquor store and say, this Svedka 100, I think, really would pair well with a nice pasta puttanesca or a nice lasagna. Chugging it on the table as I'm eating a very large slice of lasagna, and then eat the rest of the lasagna later. Because
everyone knows when, because you're Garfield, and you hate Mondays and you love lasagna.
So Monday night is Stouffer's lasagna. Stop number 1 is the liquor store for a bottle of Svedka 100. Stop number 2 is Walmart for a family-size Stouffer's lasagna?
I don't know. You think about you might be able to go to Price Chopper. You get your chopping on prices. Maybe they got a sale on the Stouffer's because Stouffer's usually goes on sale. You get like 10 for 10. Oh.
What kind of world do you live in where a Stouffer's family size lasagna is 10 for 10?
Not the family size.
Just the fat
yeah, the
alone size.
Yeah, but you get, if you buy 10 of them, that's like 2 family sizes for the price of, one family size.
Gotta really do the math on this one, bro.
I don't know. My math might be off. My fucking dollar to lasagna ratio is not very. I don't really know. I'm not the Dow over here. I'm not NASDAQ.
Not the Dow Jones.
Fucking Stouffer's rise and fall.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I need another beer. I'm going to yell from across the room as I go get this beer. So anyways, as I was saying, Svedka 100, that'll get you fucked up. Pulling the beer away. It's in one of those plastic tops. I can't get it. So take a look at this shit. This is a special edition Svedka 100 bottle.
How much that cost?
$18.
See, I wonder if like a regular bottle, like a 175 of Svedka costs like $18. So I wonder if the extra 75 get you as drunk as the 100.
That's true. I think another example of them doing the math on the whole thing, or us having to.
Or you could just go get yourself a bottle of Mr. Barton's, Mr. Boston's.
Mr. Barton's.
That's both the cheap vodkas, fucking mixed in one.
Mr. Nikolai.
Mr. Nikolai Barton.
Oh, that sounds gross. We haven't done it. You know what? This is what makes me trashy. But when the summer, like when you start feeling that the summer is coming around a little bit, you sort of start getting this taste, this little taste in your mouth. You start to think about it. And the thing
summer shandies.
Oh, there's that. They're
out already. I've had the Sam Adams one so far.
What you start thinking about is the pink panty droppers. That you start thinking about the Wapatulis and the jungle juices, because it's sort of like it goes along with like the 3 components of summer: fresh cut grass, tanning oil, and the fresh, the crisp, refreshing taste of Minute Maid pink lemonade, a handle of Nikolai vodka, and 30 Bud Lights.
You're doing it wrong.
Whatever.
No, you put Everclear in it there, buddy, and then you do fucking Natty Ice.
Yeah, that's
when I made it. That's how we made it, and that was not a good night.
The way you just said that made it sound like you are an old school like moonshiner, where you're like, yeah, the kids today, they don't make it like I make it. I really take extra steps.
Hey, you're doing it wrong.
Listen, this is the difference between an artisanal jungle juice product and whatever garbage,
whatever that is.
Listen,
what's that? Whatever that is.
The kids today with their eyeball vodka chugging and their vodka tampons, they don't get it.
Drugs go in your butt, booze goes in your mouth. All right.
I come from a simpler time. A simpler time meaning the way that we mix together our juices and boozes has got to come out of a cooler. It's got to be gross. And everybody's got to vomit all the time. And it's got to... It's...
Truth.
Preach. Brent and Dylan's artisanal jungle juices. Wait, listen, we only make this from the finest back of the refrigerator and nice and easy PBRs and Natty Ices, okay? We select them at the very tip of their skunkiness.
Aged.
We age these cans in my refrigerator for 6 months at least. to get that real good Heineken fresh out of the bottle flavor.
Age them in Rubbermaid coolers down in the basement.
What a fucking. I think about that all the time. The various bits and pieces that I remember of that, and probably one of the best ones was, and you know what's funny is John Mulaney, right? The guy, the writer for SNL and the comedian. His first stand-up special, he talks about how he went to this party.
He gets blackout drunk.
The scatter bit, where somebody throws down a bottle and is like, scatter! The fuck the police bit.
Yeah, well, that contains one of his one of my favorite jokes from him, where he says, "I thought the only thing Steve Urkel and alcoholics think, did I do that?"
I do that. The thing with that is that every time I watch it, all I can think about is that story. The way he tells it seems very unlikely, or at least it seems like he's embellishing it in some regard to make it funny, which is what everybody does.
That's what comedians do.
Exactly. But the funniest thing about that is that every time I watch it, I think back into my mind when we were in that fucking party in Rochester and how similar it was, because the images that I have in my head for that party line up almost exactly with how he tells that story, which is us all getting to this house party. We don't know anybody. I mean, we know a few people, and we know a few people through you at this place. And we go downstairs into the basement, and it's this narrow hallway with a fucking fog machine going. Or it seems like a fog machine, maybe because it's so fucking hot down there, because there's like 40 fucking people in this basement. It's like a narrow basement. And there's lights going and shit, and like it was just unreal. This was the thing where most people attribute a college experience to something that's relatively mediocre, and they try to like talk it up in a certain degree. We experienced it for real. We were in a party that got busted by the police and had to run out through the back of a door that did not previously have access.
That's when we actually had the fucking Rubbermaid tote that said pants on it, filled with beer.
Why did it say pants on it?
Because it was Zach's. Like, that was like the only thing we had to carry like beer around. Yep. So we just it was his from like
it's
just
when he
to
was
bring
moving in and he put his pants.
Yeah. So he just wrote pants on it, and it was just filled with beer. So quick grab the beer, and someone had ripped the wood paneling off the basement door to get out that door. We're just scooting this Rubbermaid across the basement.
Oh my god, I remember we scooted it on the ground to get out the door, and then we both lifted it like end to end, man to man, like a fireman's lift, 2-man lift, and ran in the backyard of 2 houses, and then came back out to the road. Who was there meeting us in the Jeep?
I don't remember.
Somebody.
Yeah, someone had already had the Jeep. Yeah.
You couldn't have written what happened, because it would have been a different story if we had ran out the back of the house and then we had found our way back to your dorm or somebody else's dorm or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's not like we were far away. It was like like 2 streets over from campus.
But the funniest part was that we Ocean's 11'd it, like, because for some reason
we had a getaway car.
We managed to like find somebody who we knew that was like that. I don't know if we called somebody or texted somebody or whatever. But somehow when we got out to the street 2 houses down, they had like, and I mean, you imagine it in your head a lot more grandiose than it is. But the way I think about it in my head is like somebody like squealing to a stop, us fucking like carrying the guy.
Get in.
We fucking throw the Rubbermaid tote, we close the hatch, and we all hop in it. You couldn't have done it better than that. And then this also leads me into the fur coat discussion, which is clearly probably one of my finer moments in drinking history. because it really comes down to the "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" kind of approach, where everybody's a terrible person, and how terrible
Except
are
you.
you? In my mind at the time, in the kind of state that I'm in when I'm in these situations, is I'm not a terrible person. In fact, I'm uproariously hilarious. Everybody finds me funny. I'm so funny. But there are certain people whom I impact at these times where it is not funny, and it's never been funny. And good thing I'll never see that person again, because pretending that I'm Kid Rock and putting on a fur coat over what had to have been a tank top, knowing me now and at the time.
Oh yeah, that was definitely tank top time.
Yeah. That's it's one of those things where I didn't get, in some respects, maybe not in others, but I didn't really get the college experience that you would want if you were going to a school like, I mean, you could throw out like UCLA or like the party schools, right? So like the kind of things that comedy writers dream of when it comes to college, like the Van Wilder.
Yeah, when you watch a college movie,
Watch Van Wilder, what you're really looking at is an adaptation of a school story that happened to have, it was like UCLA again, these party schools.
yeah, Penn State.
Exactly. The experience that I had at SUNY IT was largely lacking in some of these more debaucherous categories that you'd find on one of these things. And going to RIT, you would think in your mind that it would be the same thing. This kind of school doesn't have the kind of reputation that most have. But then you come to find out it doesn't matter what school you go to. You can find these kind of experiences no matter where you go. It's just a matter of who you meet or who you find yourself in contact with. Because we used to go fucking party hopping. We did it one night. The fur coat night was a fucking party hopping evening.
That started with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, most of these experiences could have been written about, could have been put in a movie, because old school, besides the streaking in old school, which could have happened, who knows? Besides the streaking in old school, the way that plays out, including Snoop Dogg, is fucking close to what we did. Except the party wasn't hosted by a guy who owns a speaker store. We just went to a fucking auditorium to see Snoop Dogg with a bunch of deaf kids. So the way the narrative plays out is basically we go see Snoop Dogg, we come back to your dorm, we get pre-game drunk. Anywhere in here I could have started streaking and we would have had an exact copy of old school. And then we go to all of these parties where I get myself in like major fucking trouble, and then we gotta like move on. Another one is when it was my birthday, and we just like when I came up there, it was my birthday. I was thinking that everybody was like, how is it that I thought that the fucking world is going to revolve around me on my birthday at a college I don't go to, who don't fucking know me? At the time when I was in college, how is it that I experienced this level of fucking arrogance that can only be described as like
I feel like you only brought the arrogance when you came to visit me, though. That was the thing. Like, you weren't arrogant at your own school around people that you hang around with every day. You were arrogant at my school around people I hang out with, and then say, hey, this is Brent, and you're like, oh shit, it's my birthday, fuck you.
I can tell you, looking back on it now, and the way that I know myself a little bit and the way I understand my personality sometimes, is that in certain situations, and this is I mean, we've known each other for whatever it's been, Jesus Christ, it's probably been like 13 years. Throughout everything that we've ever done.
Longer than that.
Yeah, longer than 13.
13, it's 2017.
2017, so I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah, anyways. whatever year it is. I know myself in situations where I don't know people that I'm being brought around. Typically, the nervousness that would come up in a regular person that finds himself in this situation is, for me, replaced and flip-flopped with an overwhelming sense of
Arrogance.
yeah. And not even just arrogance. I don't know if it has to do with that, because arrogance a lot of times can come from, it doesn't a lot of times come from comedy. You know what I mean? Like, if you run into somebody that's arrogant, seriously arrogant, you'd think he's a dick.
I wouldn't say arrogant. I'd say more like you just pretend like
I pretend like I'm a character.
You pretend like you've always been here. Like, this is
there you go. That's what I was trying to wrap my head around right there.
No,
I was trying to come to the
just
point
me again.
Of like, it's just old Brent, classic Brent. It's like, bitch, I never fucking met you in my life. And you, in many ways, went along with that a lot of times, because it sort of, I don't know what empowered me to be that way, because I wasn't like that in my normal life. I always kind of wanted to be the center of attention, like from a personality standpoint, but it wasn't ever to the point where I would be like that. I don't know what brought it out in me that when I would go up to RIT, that I would think that everybody would want me to be that way or something. I don't know what my thought process was like. It's like, yeah, this is what everybody wants, right? They want the weird Brent, the fun Brent, right?
They want classic Brent. Classic Brent.
Oh, Jesus.
That's why you invited me up here, guys, right?
That's the other thing. You know what it might have come down to too, is that when somebody invites you to something, especially when they give you this idea that, like, maybe what you have in your head is like, oh, yo, my friends at RIT, they're going to fucking love you. Then you end up with...
I don't think I ever said that, though.
No. You didn't. The point I'm trying to make is probably my internal monologue. Signaling that's saying, basically, oh, man, in my mind, this is me in my head being like, oh, man, all Dylan's friends at RIT, they're going to fucking love me. Oh, yeah. And then I'm coming up and I'm like fucking Duff Man crossed with Randy Savage. And so many people found it abrasive. So I'm sure us regaling everybody with our fucking college stories was super riveting. But maybe we should talk about the here and now. We should regale people with our stories about our mundane and shitty lives as it pertains to current events. Have you decided what was the game you told me you were going to play from your library?
Oh, that's okay. We're going that way.
Because I remember you said you ended up pre-ordering something, right? You pre-ordered
What Remains of Edith Finch. I only pre-ordered it was because
days away, isn't it? The pre-order, or 3 days or something like that. It's going to come out.
It comes out on Tuesday, but you got like a 20% discount if you had PlayStation Plus and pre-ordered it. And I wanted to play it. It seemed cool. It's just a walking simulator. It'd probably take like 4 hours.
Is it kind of along that line of
It's like Gone Home,
The
and
Witness and stuff like that?
Well, no, The Witness is more a puzzle game,
right?
Yeah, I don't think it's that puzzly.
More like that's more like the Talos principle. The Witness.
This is more like you're walking around and a story. You're just walking through a story being told.
Okay.
And it seems cool because like you're at some house, and I guess you're like the last person in this family, and you gotta like everyone in this family dies. That's just what it like, as like something kills them or something. And you gotta figure why they died. You just like walk through this house, everyone's room.
It's like it's like an Alan Wake type of thing. You're trying to piece together something.
Yeah, I guess that's what it seems like it's gonna be. I don't know. It sounded cool, and
it's probably got a good story. I know. I've heard some things about it. I'm actually in the middle of playing God of War 3 Remastered.
Oh, look at you playing something.
Weird, right? I'm actually playing something. Yeah, I'm having so much fun with it because I think it's, to me, and that's, I mean, I've explained, and I'm sure there's probably an overarching theme over all these podcasts about the kind of games that I actually end up finding myself playing and enjoying. And God of War is probably one of the most perfect examples of that, because you think about my tendencies and my tropes and shit about gaming, like how you're always like, Brent, this is too hard for you. You're not gonna be able to fucking play this thing. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna.
I don't say that.
Yeah. I guess
I just know that if something is hard, you just won't play it.
Well, that's the thing, is that
You won't try to get good at it. You'll just not play it.
to me, the only thing that ever broke that convention was Titanfall, because
It's not hard though.
yeah, to you, I don't have the, I don't know, whatever it is, the hand-eye coordination or the dexterity or whatever is involved in playing that game. I don't have it. That's why Andrew's father, a man in his late 50s, is better than me at Titanfall, because he has the skills necessary to play it. He's in the G2s now at this point, which means he's flipped the fucking thing twice. He's flipped the leveling system twice. And I am level like
Titanfall.
50 something.
Yeah, we know you're bad at Titanfall. We got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
squeeze me. I guess my point is,
Well, you just God of War 3.
my point is, God of War 3 speaks to all levels of Brent's sensibilities as it pertains to a video game. Is it easy to just go in and start playing it? Yes. Does it have a story that is easy to follow? It doesn't have a lot of cutscenes. Yes. Is it visually good looking? Oh yeah, it's really visually good looking, especially 3 remastered is fucking nuts. Oh yeah, that's high praise. And does it have puzzles that make me think but don't make me want to kill myself? Yes.
They make sense. The puzzles make sense as opposed to just being puzzly for puzzle's sake.
That's a good point. I think it's probably less what I said and more what you said. It's the puzzles themselves aren't shit for the sake of, like, they're not trying to shoehorn in some of these like puzzles that you get in other games where you have to, like, you got to think like beyond playing a game. It's like,
the solution is obvious as opposed to obscure and not even
a great example of this in the in remastered, in the third God of War remastered, is where you're trying to free Pandora. You're about an hour and a half into the game, and it's the thing where she's in like a coffin type thing, like a glass coffin.
Oh, you mean Pandora's box?
I think they're trying to make that reference, but I don't know if they ever do it.
Did you open it?
Yes.
Because
there's
and all the bad stuff flies out.
There's two.
When you open the box.
Fuck you. It's the puzzle where there's like 2 stone fists on each side, and you got to get them both into handcuffs, because in order to get the tomb or the coffin like to slide over to you to remove her from the coffin, you got to be able so that he doesn't like punch in the center of the screen. So you got to crank this shit like these water wheel type things at the top of the map. It's a 2-level map. You got to like put weights on him so that they don't turn, and then he's got to like lock his wrists in. The way you think about it, if you're dumb, you'll still be able to figure it out. Like if you're dumber at puzzles than me, which is really dumb, you're still going to be able to figure it out, because eventually what's going to have to happen is you're going to go up and down on both sides of this map to try to get this to work. And it just shows you if you pull this lever, it's going to show you a cutscene where this happens and it doesn't work. How can you make it not work? Or how can you make it work, I guess? So you just have to keep fucking figuring that out. And all of the puzzles in that game are like that, where they show you what happens if you don't do something, and then they show you what happens if you do it. And then it's binary. It's just like, in order to do this, this has to happen, and I got to do this. Whereas there's some games where the puzzles are just so fucking completely off base that you can't even understand what the hell is going on. Like, they assume that you know a bunch of shit, and you don't. I'm dumb. You can't assume I know anything. Do you realize who's playing this? You can't put something in front of me and assume that I know that, oh yeah, the green text over there is what I should have known from that file that I read 6 hours ago that I got to enter into this keypad.
Green text is law. Brent, you should know this by now.
Green text is law. That's another merch idea right there. Write that down. That's going on a t-shirt. In that Palatino lino type fucking typewriter font from Resident Evil is just green. Green text is law. And it's got like an ink ribbon on it. That'd be great. That'd be a nice t-shirt. What was I going to say? So puzzles in God of War 3, awesome. Great puzzles, bro.
Great puzzles. Top notch.
Yeah. I've been playing that, but I've also been you know what's the worst thing? And I was gonna tell you this actually outside the podcast on Hangouts or something, because you were saying it was in response to the fact that you weren't gonna play something inside of your library. Instead, like a fucking ingrate, you were gonna buy another thing to add to your library to play.
Oh, which is what I did.
Right. That's what I wanted to establish. But what I said was, I was going to tell you, I was like, oh my God, dude, I did the same shit. And I bought Hollow Knight on Steam. And I haven't even downloaded it. That shit isn't even on my hard drive, baby. And
luckily for me, that's not out on anything I want to play it on yet. So I'm not even gonna play it on my computer, so I won't buy it.
In a way, you know, I remember I talked to you about this a while ago, but I had a thing where I was traveling at some point, and I got on a plane, and I was like, I kind of want to play something rather than watch something, so I downloaded Rogue Legacy and Rocket Birds, kind of both platformers, just one that I wanted to play, and they were really cheap at the time. It was like the summer sale, so I just downloaded them. But this time around, I kind of feel the same way. I'm going to be traveling first week of May. I bought Hollow Knight when it was on sale. I was like, it's a Metroidvania. I want to fucking play it. It's not, I don't think it's been hyped up, but I think it's been pretty critically acclaimed.
Yeah, it's been kind of hyped up too.
In that genre. Well, I didn't really read a lot about it. The first thing I guess if there was hype about it, I didn't really hear it.
Hype.
I really did want it. To be honest with you, I think that I'm so jaded because Castlevania SOTN is like one of those. It's just, it is what it is. And
yeah, that's why they call it a Metroidvania.
Because they invented, yeah, that's the problem. When you invent something and it comes out,
they didn't really invent, I mean, Super Metroid came first.
Well, Super Metroid itself as a game, unbelievable. Castlevania Symphony of the Night as a game, unbelievable. When you then try to combine those elements together, you sometimes could create a game that even is better than both of those. There's a couple Castlevania games that exist in the 2D realm that are right up there. I played through the entirety of Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance for the DS, which was the one where you drew the
Dawn of Sorrows.
Dawn of Sorrow. Sorry, Harmony of Dissonance was the one after that, I think.
Yeah, it's the second one.
I played that one too. I don't know if I finished that one, to be honest with you, but Dawn of Sorrow was really cool because
I feel like we talked about this already. Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, Dawn of Sorrow, good game. Draw the pentagram, kill the monster. That's the end of that story. Leads me into this topic. Fucking Hollow Knight. Wanted to play it. Gonna play it. I don't know if it's gonna have the RPG elements of a Metroidvania style game. I hope it does. I think you do get to have the upgraded attacks and upgraded weapons and things like that. So that,
yeah, I think you get like runes that give you.
That's
like,
good. I think
other like upgraded stuff, but I don't think it's like you can't put necklaces on and stuff like that.
that's where I don't. Is there a? I don't think there's a game where they've done that yet. And it seems like, to a certain degree.
Well, did you hear my new Kickstarter from called Bloodstained?
So I don't want to wait 3 years for a small studio to do it, Dylan.
It should be out at any time. You just wait. They canceled the Wii U version, so
did they really? They're gonna put it on the Switch?
Oh,
yeah,
maybe not.
Another 6 months to a year to put that on the Switch. Oh, you motherfuckers! I need it now.
Well, you don't even have a Switch, so.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't fucking. It better come out like for as much money as they're pouring into it. I saw some of the builds of it. I think it looks cool. It's got a much more stained glass watercolor aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
Color wise, obviously. The 2.5D element is a little bit more seamless than it was in Symphony of the Night, which is good. It's got a little bit more of that. It looks like it's going to feel good, and I hope it does. It's scaled up a little bit. Not the graphics are scaled up, but I mean like physically the size of the game. Like the character sprites and everything else. Well, no, because I think when you look at Shovel Knight, that's a game that's pretty much employing the same size of characters. They're using the small sprites and the small environments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the action that happens on screen is way bigger than what anything else can handle.
Right. Well, with Symphony of the Night, since they had that hardware acceleration to be able to do the 3D shit, they did have some of the things that happen on screen, even though you're talking about real small sprites. You're looking at like big action when you get to like bosses and stuff like that. Yeah. I think my main thing is I hope with this Bloodstained game is that they don't go too far into the territory of like it's hard to explain. I guess when I saw the character models for it, they're so fleshed out, and that's a good thing. But in my mind, it's like what I can think of in my head is Alucard, who's like a tiny little shit thing that has very fluid, but at the same time very pixely movements.
Well, Brent,
fighting in these big ass movements.
We can't all be Symphony of the Night. Some of us are destined to be Simon's Quest.
That's the Jacket Off Podcast. Episode 9. I'm out.